Hello there. My name is Rhett Downing, and I'm a master's student in mass communication with a strong research focus in communication studies and interpersonal relationships. So today, and to start this video, pop the confetti. Woo! Right. I'm going to give us all a very large and broad topic to digest, and that is the topic of communicative aggression. So what we're going to do is go over Psychology Today article and then a video that kind of showcases a pretty good example of it. While dramatized, it's a good example. So speaking of Psychology Today, I don't typically run to these guys. That makes sense because I run to research papers. But when I have used them, they tend to chalk up things pretty dang well. That, and I like it especially with this one, because they use this textbook right here. And that's one of the better textbooks that I've read pertaining to some of this stuff. I recommend it, but maybe not for the faint of heart because it's kind of scary. So when they say the dark side of interpersonal communication, they are not kidding, okay? Just take that from me. But if you can handle that sort of thing, go check it out. Take a look. So when it pertains to communicative aggression, it's great to define it because it's broad. It's a pattern of verbal messages or nonverbal behaviors that hurt another person's sense of self. And you may be wondering what a sense of self is, and that's, funny enough, kind of self-explanatory. It's is who you are, from your temperament to your personality traits to self-esteem, how you chalk that up. Self dash insert vocabulary word there, that is your sense of self, like self-esteem. And or self-worth, it's another one. So what many people may not actually realize is that verbal, psychological, and emotional abuse are three of its forms. And sometimes they can be kind of hard to differentiate. That's why I have some examples here. This article gives some great examples down at the bottom. I'm not going to read through all of it, but if you want to go see that, I would read this. If you want to go see like real life applications, I would go check out that last paragraph. I just want to define it. I'm not going to go through this whole article at all, even though it's great. And it's got negative repercussions, great to know, for both the target and the aggressor. You get me? So if you use these sorts of things, it's also going to hurt you. I'm not saying that anyone uses them who's watching this. Anyway, moving on. Where's the other thing? I don't want to go through that, even though it's all great. Here we go. Communicative aggression is intense, strategic, patterned, and recurring. So if somebody raises their voice at you one time in your entire life, that's not necessarily abuse. If it's recurring and patterned, it could be. So the point is to really try and be able to discern among these things. And this sentence chalks it up great. Intense, strategic, pattern, and recurring. Because it's intended to harm you. Intended to harm your self-image. So honestly, that's all I have to go through with this article, other than I almost forgot the examples. Verbal abuse is the most common, and that's things like name-calling, insulting, and threats. Emotional abuse is intimidation, things like intimidation, humiliation, and belittling. And then psychological abuse, that's where things like gaslighting come in. And I've been learning that people have been getting more and more interested in those psychological factors, especially of abuse. So, I mean, if you were to look on Instagram or something like that, or TikTok, God forbid, I say God forbid because I'm not on that. I have no doubt there's whole strings of videos pertaining to gaslighting. So isolation, that's one people may not actually have ever heard of. They may have experienced it, but let's give you an example. That's like, if I like you so much, I'm going to take you away from your friends and family. It's terrifying, and be very aware of that. Pay attention to that. It's scary and not good. And then there's ignoring. Now that depends on the context, right? This video actually, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I think this section of the video that I'm about to show does have an instance of ignoring. But we're just going to get into it. It's hard to explain. It just depends on the context, and especially if it's recurring. So, let's move on to the video, shall we?
Well, the vote's 9-3 in favor of acquittal. I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing. You saw this kid just like I did. You're not going to tell me you believe that phony story about losing the knife and that business about being at the movies? Look, you know how these people lie? It's born in them. I mean, what the heck? I don't...
Okay. Right off the bat, within the first few seconds, we can tell this guy's angry, using inflammatory language as big a buzzword as that is, right? So if I'm not mistaken, when it comes to poor communication, this is the devil of anger. Demon, not the devil. The demon of anger. I made that guy. So, watch this. I hope you enjoyed that, because that took like a week to animate, let alone draw. Oh my good. Anyway, getting back into this video, within those first few seconds, so he stands pretty, he's fired up, and then he uses vocabulary words like picky little points and phony and things like that. So yes, very angry.
I don't have to tell you. They don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need any real big reason to kill someone either. No, sir. They get drunk. Oh, they're real big drinkers, all of them. You know that. And bang, someone's lying in the gutter. Well, nobody's blaming them for it. That's the way they are, by nature. You know what I mean? Violent. Where are you going? Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us.
Oh my goodness. I should count how many times he says they. So he's trying to distance himself, first off, despite my surprise in him saying something like that. The only reason why I'm so surprised, put yourself in any one of these guys' shoes, and somebody said that to your face. Whoa. No wonder these guys are getting up, right? They. Distancing. Odd. Very odd what he's doing. So fired up. It doesn't even seem like he can think clearly.
Look, they're lushing it up and fighting all the time, and if somebody gets killed, so somebody gets killed, they don't care. Oh, sure, there's some good things about them, too. Look, I'm the first one to say that. I've known a couple who are okay, but that's the exception, you know what I mean? Most of them, it's like they have no feelings. They can do anything. What's going on here? I'm trying to tell you. You're making a big mistake, you people. This kid is a liar. I know it. I know all about them. Listen to me. They're no good. There's not a one of them who's any good. I mean, what's happening in here? I'm speaking my piece and...
Oh, no. No, I thought he was going to say that. He's hiding this attempt to humiliate and degrade and his higher status under the guise of credibility and thought contribution. Ooh. Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. Anyway, oh my goodness. Anyway, look at all these people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I'm assuming there's other two because, or just one, this guy, because there's, it's a jury of 12. So they're all shunning him. This is active shunning. That just goes to show how, I don't want to keep chalking it up to bad. Let's think of a different vocabulary word. How intense his viewpoint is. And what these guys are doing are attempting to show him that it might be worth rethinking that opinion. Active ostracism. Ooh, yeah, so you're not going to want to, but put yourself in the guy who's having his little tirade. Put yourself in his shoes. Yeah, and you would understand the sheer weight of what these guys are doing. Ooh. Yeah.
You... Listen to me. We're... This kid I'm trial here. His type. Well, don't you know about them? There's a danger here. These people are dangerous. They're wild. Listen to me. Listen.
I have. Now sit down and don't open your mouth again.
Someone tell you.
Oh, okay. At the end, all 11 are looking away from him. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That's it? Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. We need to talk practical applications after this. Or right now. All right, let's get into some practical applications, shall we? So, with anything pertaining to communicative aggression, the first step is being able to perceive it. And that could be a little bit more difficult than people expect. It can be very subtle sometimes. So, very important. But the most important thing, I would say, is how to handle it. Because we as people, especially at my age, most people do not know how to handle it. Textbook most healthy way to handle these things is sitting down and talking with the person with whom you're not getting along. Okay? You can handle it like those men did, by the way, pure ostracism, pure shunning, active shunning. But I wouldn't suggest that because you don't want to become the abuser. You just got to be really careful with that sort of thing. I think in that video it's warranted because these guys are suggesting, hey, you really ought to rethink that viewpoint of yours. Now, when it's one on one, yeah, that can go awry really quick. So let's give an example. Let's say somebody in your life, significant other, a friend, somebody you're close with, doesn't matter. Somebody is being kind of mean to you. It's pretty broad. So they're looking at you like you're stupid when you ask a question. They're putting little remarks at the end of what they say to make you feel bad, kind of like degrading, but it's subtle. It's like, "Ugh, why would you think of that?" sort of thing. Okay? Somebody's being mean. I think maybe in y'all's mind you can think of something. You're going to have to sit down and talk with them. And you're going to have to sit down and talk with them about your feelings. Oh, God, feelings. Oh, no. Woe is me, right? How terrifying. Yes, feelings. This is when you're going to need to know how to articulate them. And a lot of us don't know how. And this whole idea that people communicate, it's true, but that does not mean we communicate well. So, textbook healthiest way to handle these sorts of things, especially communicative aggression, is sitting down, calm, cool, and collected, and talking with this person. Now, here's the problem: we can't keep chalking things up to good, bad, happy, or sad. It's not enough. Emotions are a little bit more than that. I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, somebody in my life is being mean. I'd like to think I'd sit down and talk with them and say, listen, when you say those sorts of things, when you look at me like I'm stupid, there's a pit that goes to the bottom of my stomach and it hurts and I really don't appreciate it. And it really drains me so much to the point that I don't want to be around you. So, what can we do to make things better? It's not a you. No, no, no. What can we do to make things better? If this conversation at first doesn't go well, y'all need to separate. And I'm not saying it in the sense of, hey, we need to take a break and go see other people. No, no, no. I mean go to separate rooms. And I mean sit down and think about how you're feeling. Cool off a little bit. Take some deep breaths. And then once y'all are calm, come back to the conversation and see how things can get better or things, how they can mend, right? Because what you don't want to is do something we call the kitchen sink. And that is take everything that we don't like about a person every single time they do it and throw it in the kitchen sink like some dishes. And at the end, it piles up and it flows over. That's how relationships end, by the way. And a lot of people do that. So There's some practical applications. Healthiest way, remember that. You got to sit down and look people in the eye and talk to them about it. It's going to be hard, draining. You're going to feel the cogs turning in your brain, especially when you're thinking about your feelings and trying to articulate them. But that's okay. That's how we get better. So, communicative aggression, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. It's patterned and recurring. Remember that. Try to discern them. Sometimes it goes under the radar, and sometimes you don't know why you're feeling bad. So, I think that's all I have. I'm going to see y'all in the next video because it's going to be a good one. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.